Have you ever wondered how to make the most of your golden years? This is the story of David, a 72-year-old who learned the value of independence and careful retirement planning. Retirement is often viewed as a time for rest and joy. However, for David, a 72-year-old retiree from Florida, a single decision turned his golden years into an uphill battle. After selling his home, he moved in with his children, expecting to strengthen family ties. Instead, he faced unexpected challenges, financial dependence, family tensions, and emotional distress. Through David's story, we uncover vital lessons about maintaining autonomy, planning effectively, and building a self-reliant retirement lifestyle. Whether you're nearing retirement or already there, this journey will inspire you to rethink the importance of independence during your golden years. Stay tuned for practical advice and insights to help you live with dignity and joy after 65. Moving to his daughter's home, hope and disappointment. David, a retired engineer, had always imagined his retirement as a time to relax and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. After his wife passed away, David decided to sell his house in Florida and move in with his daughter, Sarah, in Atlanta. It seemed like the perfect solution. Sarah welcomed him with open arms, and David looked forward to being part of her family, especially spending quality time with his 2 grandchildren. Initially, everything was perfect. David enjoyed helping Sarah by contributing financially to household expenses. He took joy in picking up his grandchildren from school, playing games with them, and telling them bedtime stories. It felt fulfilling to be needed and to feel like an integral part of the household. Sarah often expressed her gratitude, and David felt like the move was the best decision he had made. However, as time went on, small challenges began to emerge. Sarah, a single mother with a demanding job, began relying on David more than he had anticipated. What started as occasional babysitting turned into daily responsibilities. David found himself managing not just the children's schedules but also cooking meals, handling household chores, and running errands. Although he wanted to help, the weight of these duties began to feel overwhelming, especially as he was still adjusting to his new lifestyle. David also noticed that Sarah's reliance on him extended to financial matters. While he had willingly contributed part of his retirement savings to help cover household expenses, he began to feel pressure to provide additional support. It wasn't the financial assistance itself that bothered him. He was happy to help his family, but the unspoken expectation that his resources were now a permanent part of the household budget. This left David feeling like he had lost control over his own finances, a key aspect of his independence. One particular incident highlighted this growing discomfort. Sarah had planned a birthday party for one of her children and casually mentioned to David that she had used some of his contribution to cover the cost. Although David didn't mind supporting his grandchildren's happiness, he wished she had consulted him first. It wasn't about the money, it was about the principle of mutual respect and communication. The emotional strain of these changes began to take a toll on David. One evening, as he sat in the living room, he overheard Sarah talking to a friend on the phone. She mentioned how having her father around was both a blessing and a limitation. She said, "It's great to have Dad's help, but sometimes I wish I could have the house to myself. It's hard to balance everything." David was deeply hurt by her words. He understood that his presence had unintentionally added pressure to her already busy life, but hearing it spoken aloud made him feel like a burden. Privacy, or the lack of it, was another challenge for David. Living in someone else's home, even his daughter's, meant that he no longer had a space to call his own. He missed the quiet mornings in his old house, where he could read the newspaper with a cup of coffee in hand, uninterrupted. Now, his days were dictated by the needs of the household, and he often felt like he had lost his sense of independence. There were also moments when David struggled to adapt to the dynamics of the household. For example, Sarah's parenting style differed from what he was used to. He occasionally offered advice on how to handle the children, but his suggestions were sometimes met with resistance or polite dismissal. This created an undercurrent of tension that added to his growing unease. After months of feeling conflicted, David decided to have an honest conversation with Sarah. He expressed his gratitude for her hospitality but also shared his concerns about the toll the arrangement was taking on both of them. Sarah was understanding and admitted that while she loved having her father close, the situation had created unforeseen challenges. They both agreed that it might be best for David to explore other living arrangements. David's decision to leave Sarah's home was not made lightly. He had hoped that living with his daughter would provide a sense of belonging and comfort during his later years. However, he realized that his happiness and well-being depended on maintaining his independence. Leaving Sarah's home was a bittersweet moment. It was hard to say goodbye to the daily interactions with his grandchildren, but he knew it was the right step for both himself and his daughter. As David packed his belongings, he reflected on the lessons he had learned. He realized the importance of boundaries in maintaining healthy relationships, even with family. He also recognized that independence was not just about finances or living arrangements. It was about having the freedom to make decisions that align with one's values and priorities. David's experience living with Sarah taught him valuable lessons about the importance of boundaries, communication, and autonomy in retirement. He learned that while family connections are important, they should not come at the cost of personal independence or the well-being of others. This chapter of his life became a turning point, shaping how he approached the next stage of his retirement journey. Ultimately, David's time at Sarah's house was not a failure, but a meaningful experience that helped him grow. It strengthened his understanding of what he needed to thrive in his golden years and reaffirmed his commitment to living life on his terms. His decision to prioritize independence was not only a gift to himself, but also to his family, as it allowed them to maintain their love and respect for one another without the strains of cohabitation. After leaving his daughter Sarah's home, David hoped for a fresh start with his son, Mark, in Texas. Mark, a successful businessman with a large house, seemed more than willing to welcome his father. David arrived with renewed hope, believing that this arrangement might provide the balance he had been searching for. At first, everything seemed to fall into place. Mark and his wife, Linda, greeted him warmly, showing him to a comfortable room in their spacious home. They made an effort to include him in family dinners and weekend activities. David enjoyed the change of pace and appreciated the kindness his son and daughter-in-law extended. For a brief moment, he thought he had finally found the perfect solution. However, as the weeks turned into months, familiar patterns began to surface. While Mark and Linda treated him with respect, David couldn't shake the feeling that his presence disrupted their routine. He began to notice the subtle tensions between Mark and Linda, particularly when discussions arose about money and household responsibilities. David tried to stay out of these conversations, but it became increasingly clear that his arrival had added another layer of complexity to their lives. Financial dynamics once again became a point of contention. Mark, while well-intentioned, began taking control of David's retirement funds. At first, this seemed practical. Mark insisted it was easier to manage everything from one account. But David soon realized that he no longer had access to his own savings without consulting his son. This lack of autonomy frustrated David, as it felt like another loss of control over his life. Mark also began asking for financial contributions toward household expenses. While David didn't mind helping, he noticed that these requests became more frequent and less optional. For instance, Mark mentioned that the utility bills had increased since David moved in, subtly implying that he should cover the difference. Although David wanted to support his family, the unspoken expectation left him feeling like a financial burden rather than a welcomed guest. Privacy was another challenge. Although David had his own room, he often felt like a guest in a house that wasn't truly his. Small things, like not being able to cook his favorite meals without disrupting Linda's kitchen routine, began to weigh on him. He also missed the freedom to decorate his space or enjoy quiet moments without interruptions. The lack of a personal sanctuary reminded David of how much he had cherished the independence of his own home. The emotional strain grew over time. One evening, during a family dinner, a small disagreement escalated into an uncomfortable argument. Mark mentioned that David's presence, while appreciated, had added stress to their lives. Linda, trying to mediate, suggested that they all needed to adjust their expectations. David sat silently, feeling both hurt and out of place. This was not the harmonious family life he had envisioned. David began to withdraw. He spent more time in his room, avoiding the communal areas of the house. He felt like an outsider in his son's home, a stark contrast to the supportive and loving environment he had hoped for. The realization hit him hard. Despite everyone's good intentions, the arrangement simply wasn't working for anyone. After weeks of reflection, David decided to have an honest conversation with Mark. He expressed his gratitude for their hospitality but explained that he needed to reclaim his independence. Mark, though initially surprised, understood his father's feelings. He admitted that the arrangement had been more challenging than he had anticipated. They both agreed that it was time for David to find a living situation that better suited his needs. David's departure was bittersweet. He cherished the time he had spent with Mark and Linda, but knew that staying would only strain their relationship further. He began searching for an independent living community. a place where he could enjoy his retirement without feeling like a burden to anyone. Eventually, he found a small, vibrant senior living community not far from Mark's home. The new arrangement allowed him to maintain close ties with his family while regaining the autonomy he valued so deeply. As David settled into his new home, he reflected on the lessons he had learned. He realized that independence was not just about having a place of his own. It was about maintaining control over his finances, personal space, and daily decisions. He also recognized the importance of clear communication and boundaries when living with family. While he had hoped to find comfort and connection in his children's homes, he understood that the best way to preserve those relationships was to live apart. David's experience with Mark reinforced a critical truth: family bonds are strongest when everyone has the freedom to live their lives independently. By choosing to prioritize his own well-being, David not only found peace but also strengthened his relationship with his son. Their visits became opportunities for quality time, free from the tensions that had previously overshadowed their interactions. Ultimately, David's journey was not about failure but growth. Each chapter, from Sarah's house to Mark's, taught him valuable lessons about aging, family dynamics, and the importance of self-reliance. His story serves as a reminder that the golden years can be fulfilling and joyful, as long as they are built on a foundation of independence and respect. David's journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of independence during retirement. While living with family might seem like a logical choice, it often comes with challenges that neither side fully anticipates. Through his experiences with both Sarah and Mark, David discovered that his happiness and sense of fulfillment depended on maintaining control over his own life. One of the key lessons David learned was the significance of setting boundaries. In both households, he initially hesitated to voice his concerns, fearing that it might create conflict or appear ungrateful. However, he realized that open communication was essential in preventing misunderstandings and ensuring that everyone's needs were respected. When he finally expressed his feelings, it not only eased the tension but also helped strengthen his relationships with his children. Another critical takeaway was the value of financial autonomy. For David, managing his own money represented more than just practicality. It symbolized independence and self-respect. Allowing others to control his finances, even temporarily, made him feel powerless. By regaining financial control, he was able to make decisions that aligned with his priorities and restored his confidence. David also reflected on the importance of having a personal space to call his own. While living with family provided emotional closeness, it came at the cost of privacy and freedom. Moving into an independent living community allowed him to regain a sense of ownership over his environment. This decision not only improved his quality of life, but also allowed him to enjoy his family relationships without the strain of cohabitation. Ultimately, David's story underscores the need for thoughtful retirement planning. Whether it's securing a financial safety net, choosing the right living arrangement, or fostering open communication with family, these steps are crucial to ensuring a fulfilling and self-reliant retirement. His experience serves as a valuable lesson for anyone navigating their golden years. Your retirement should be a time of joy, growth, and independence. Like David, you deserve to thrive during your golden years by making thoughtful decisions that protect your dignity and enhance your quality of life. Start by reflecting on your goals. Do you want to live near family while maintaining your privacy? Are you financially prepared to support an independent lifestyle? These are questions worth exploring to build a future that aligns with your vision. If you found David's story insightful, consider taking the next step toward planning your ideal retirement. Join a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to aging with independence and dignity. Subscribe to our channel for regular tips, advice, and motivational stories that will empower you to make informed choices. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Whether you're approaching 60, 70, or beyond, it's never too late to prioritize your well-being and happiness. Let David's journey inspire you to take charge of your future, because you deserve to enjoy every moment of your golden years on your own terms.